Good evening. So today we're going to talk about Age of Sigmar 4th edition that's about to come out. I got myself a little sheet right here so I don't lose track of what I'm going to be talking about, which is really just guessing. As you see right here, the first point is we're talking about guessing, okay? Everything I have and I'm going to say for the most part is pure speculation. But I feel like what I'm going to be talking about is rooted in, I guess, what's the word? Educated guessing. Due to the fact I play Gloomspite Gitz, and I also play Warhammer 40k 10th edition. So these are things that I'm just kind of guessing. But I do know that 4th edition will have certain changes, like there's no more ranges when it comes to attacks, so that'll help our army out quite a bit, because if everything is just, I think it's like everything attacks at 3 inches, meaning instead of fighting 2 rows in with Grotch, you'll be fighting 3 rows in, stuff like that. I believe that's what they said. I could be wrong. But they're kind of moving closer to what 40k is right now. Objectives will have a 3-inch range. They're changing bravery altogether, things like that. Anyway, so due to that, when 4th edition of Age of Sigmar comes out, it's not going to be the same army, not at all. In fact, it's probably going to look very different. First off, in 3rd edition, we currently have different, I guess you could say factions. I forget what the term is, that you can play for Gloomspite. You can play the Mega Mob, Jaws of Mork, King's Gates, Bad Snatches, and Trog Herd, all that other stuff. So you can play those things, which essentially determine the style you're going to play Gloomspite. When 4th edition comes out, we're not having any of those. We just have the one that they're going to give us. If they give us 2, I'll be shocked. But they're going to give us one style to play, and we build our army around that one style. If I were to take my guess, it'd probably be something like King's Gates, since when they came out with 4th edition, they essentially made every army, except for a few armies, play like they actually do in the previous edition, but that was their battle line, or whatever it's called. Sisters have the faith dice, Eldari have their dice. They allow the Death Guard to have their infection stuff. So I play Grey Knights when it comes to 40k, and so Grey Knights, they have the teleporting shenanigans. That was a real big shock to me when they came out with the fact that we could just lift them off the board and plant them down. I don't think Gloomspite's going to get any such thing. It's probably going to get one of the faction rules that we currently have, and that'll be it. So it might be King's Gates, it might be Bad Snatches, but it's most likely not going to be the Bad Snatches one, due to the fact that our Spearhead doesn't feature a spellcaster. So I imagine it's probably going to be something along the lines of bringing things back from the dead. Anyway, so here's some of the changes that I think is going to be happening. Since our bravery and how it's going to work as far as the bravery tests go are going to be different in Warhammer 40k 10th edition, how bravery works is once a unit reaches half, you then roll a test, and then if you fail the test, you can't use command points on them, and they also can't hold objectives. I think that it's not going to be like that. It might be similar, but I think it's probably going to be something along the lines of when you fail a bravery test, you have to move so many inches away from the opponent towards your part of the board, possibly off the board. If you run off the board, you're dead, kind of thing. That's what I imagine it's probably going to end up being like, meaning our army, as far as Gloomspite goes, if that is in fact how they're going to change bravery, it's going to be a little harder for goblins to hold down objectives, because if they basically take a lot of losses and end up running away from the objective, they don't do the one function they're supposed to do, which is stay on objectives and die. Then I have right here, it says our saves. Now, I think that they're going to change our saves from a 5 to a 6. And they're probably going to get rid of the +1 to any stats thing, maybe, and change it where you can add more than +1. So you might be able to make your save a 3 or whatever with other stacks and stuff like that. Doubtful. But I imagine, because when I play Grots with the 5-up save, and then I all-out defend, it makes a 4-up save. It makes them really, really good versus things that that don't really have AP. Which, if you're fighting things that do have AP, then you're kind of in trouble. But regardless, the fact is that they're very survivable as it is currently, because you can make your save a 4-up save, and you can have a unit of 60 Grots. So I imagine they're going to change that to a 6-up save again. Maybe they'll change the Light of the Moon finally to have, like, everything that gets Light of the Bad Moon gets a better rally or gets a ward or something like that. I mean, I would like for Grots to have a ward for once, other than the sneaky snufflers. Then there's Rally. I don't know what they're going to do about Rally, or if they're just going to get rid of Rally altogether. But I imagine, since the first 2 armies that are going to be introduced are Skaven and Stormcast, that Gloomspite is probably going to be affected due to the fact that they're focusing on Skaven. Skaven and Gloomspite are probably the 2 closest armies as far as like that goes. I think as far as the closest thing to Skaven would be Gloomspite, is what I'm trying to say. Because we can have mass goblins, they can have mass rats. We have wild and crazy things, they have wild and crazy things. In fact, they made the underground dwellers in Blood Bowl, which is just Gloomspite and Skaven mixed together practically. Anyway, the basic gist is, I don't know how Rally is going to work, but if I were to take a guess, I would think that Rally is going to work something like a unit come back on models in a unit come back on 6s. But for every 10 models in a unit, they get a +1 to their Rally. So if it's 10 models in a unit, then they come back on 5s. If it's 20 models in a unit, they come back on 4s, so on and so forth. But I don't really know if that's a thing, because then they've got if Grots were to have like a 60-man unit, then they basically just come back. And of course they would probably put the restriction, like you only bring like 10 wounds worth of dudes back. I don't know. Anyway, that's just my guess. But I imagine Rally's going to be affected due to the fact that they're coming out with Skaven. They want Skaven to be really good, and in order to show endless hordes of things like rats, they have to have a comeback function. So maybe when they come out with Skaven, they'll do what they did with Gene Stealers and make it where, like, when a unit dies, on a so much, you can just get that unit back. I don't know. They'll probably do that with Gloomspite. Who knows? Now, in 40k 10th edition, when they came out with it, one of the things that they wanted to change is make it harder to kill things. So everything has better saves, essentially. Like all Terminators have a 4-up invulnerable save, as opposed to before, which was like 5-up. And, you know, 2-up saves. Like in Grey Knights, we all have, everything has a 2-up save, right? So basically, everything has pretty much better save, sort of, and there's lower AP. Lower AP allows everything to have a better save, so that the save actually matters, right? So, low AP and low damage. Hopefully, in my opinion, they should get rid of rollover damage, where if you do like, let's say you do 16 damage, right? Instead of like killing 16 wounds worth of models, it should just be like 16 damage onto the one model that's dead, kind of thing. I think they should do that, but they're not going to change Age of Sigmar so much so that they're going to get rid of things that it's known for. So they're probably not going to get rid of rollover damage. Instead, they're probably going to reduce the actual amount of damage, especially mortal wounds. With Gloomspite, we're super capable of doing tons and tons and tons and tons of mortal wounds. There are spells, there are Boingrap Bounders, there are Squigs, there are Trogs, there are stabbing. Everything has potential to do mortal wounds. Our actual wounds aren't that great with grots and things, but the potential to do mortal wounds is really good. So they're probably going to get rid of mortal wounds in general and just make it where there's very small chances to do mortal wounds. They might get rid of spells, who knows? Like in 40k, they got rid of the psychic phase and just gave every unit abilities, right? This game, they might just get rid of spells and make it where, okay, this unit has this model and this unit has this spell, period. That's the only spell you can cast. Probably what they're going to do. But that's just my opinion. Now, down here in 4th, they said it's possibly going to be like 10th edition. I've already talked a lot about that, and I really do think that it is going to be a lot like 40k 10th edition. You're going to have the unit setting up, the one faction ability, everything's going to be preset, just like it is currently as far as War Scrolls go. They want to keep War Scrolls the same, so they're probably going to be very similar to how they are now. You know, no points for things. Your gear is what you want. It's like, okay, you can have this or this. Each you can have this. Blah blah blah. Way down the line, I don't know when they're going to come out with our book. Our book could be the last book. It could be one of the first books. I hope it's one of the first books. But when they do come out with Gloomspite Gitz, Battle Tome, I guess that's what it's called. When they come out with it, there are things that we probably hope for, since we will be getting a new book. I think that a good way of basically coming out with a Gloomspite Gitz Battle Tome, other than giving us variety and builds for our army, is adding actual wolf army. I made a previous video on this, which I might link in the description. I might put a little bubble up top so you can click the video if you want. But essentially, I think that the Wolf Riders need more. They need a character. They need more spells. They need more stuff. They need to be an actual viable part of the army. Like they need to be their own faction in a sense. Like you have Trogs. You can play all Trogs. You can play all Squigs. You can play what is it called? Moonclan Grots. I believe that's what they're called. You can play all Spiders. Wolf Riders need their own thing, right? Because we only have the 2 units of Wolf Riders. We have the normal Wolf Riders, and then we have Rippa's Snarlfangs. And I think we need a more viable way of being able to play them, I think. Like maybe solo wolves as well, or solo Snarlfangs, and then a Snarlfang Rider character as well as a solo Snarlfang character. That'd be cool, because, you know, like the Spiders, all they got Spider Riders and Arachnaroks. That's it. I mean, they got one special Arachnarok, but really, if you wanted to have an Arachnarok army, all you need to do is buy 2 different types of boxes, you know? But that would be cool if we got a wolf army. Then there's the spells. I think that our spells aren't going to be the same. They're not the same between 9th edition and 10th edition for the most part. Sorry, between 2nd edition and 3rd edition. I have both books for AOS. Gloomspite Gitz, 2nd edition and 3rd edition. But you know, Scragrat, that guy, he has Fangs of the Moon, and that's a really, really good spell. He's probably not going to have that anymore. He'll probably function similar though. He's probably going to be able to control the moon. He's probably going to be able to, free battle point, have his own special spell. That's probably not going to be Fangs of the Moon. You know, like I said, they're probably going to get rid of spells altogether as far as like a thing, and then just give everybody their own special spell. That's what I think they're going to do. And maybe, yeah, I don't think they're going to have the unbinded thing. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows? Well, they do have endless spells. There's a lot of endless spells out there. So getting rid of endless spells would kind of fundamentally change the game as well. And that would probably make a lot of people upset. So maybe they won't get rid of the ability to cast different spells, who knows, or unbind spells. But they're definitely going to change the spells, I'll tell you that much. What is it called? The red sign or purple sign or something like that? Everybody carries spells, carries that just so they can kill big things. But yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to have different spells. We're probably going to keep Itchy Nuisance, but it's probably going to function different like it does in Old World. You know, we're going to keep, I don't know if we'll keep Nicket, or however you pronounce that spell. What is it called? Hand of Work. We'll probably keep that one. I hope we keep that one. It'd suck if we didn't. But yeah, we're going to probably have different spells. Let's see. What we do know. Now, as far as what we do know, I do know that we're coming out with a Spearhead box, which is basically going to be Combat Patrol. In 40k, we have Combat Patrol. It's a preset team, preset items, preset this and that, blah blah blah. Like I said, I play Grey Knights, and in the Combat Patrol for Grey Knights, you get a Librarian. He does not have Vortex of Doom. He does not have a shooting gun. All he's got is his Nemesis Force Staff and the spell ranged attack, which is Soul Blade or something like that. I forget what it's called. Anyway, basically he gets one shot and he gets to attack with his Nemesis Force Staff. And you get a 5-man strike squad, which they're okay. You know, they'll die pretty quick if you don't take care of them. And you get to choose between a Terminator squad or the Nemesis Dread Knight, which I thought, when I first saw it, I thought you get to keep both. No, you get to choose one or the other. And the Nemesis Dread Knight gets one of his big guns, not both, and he gets the sword. So it's like, they limit you for no reason, but they do it for quote-unquote balancing purposes. And it's the same way with every faction. It's probably going to be the same way with Spearhead. We're probably going to get a Spearhead unit that doesn't function like it will function in the actual game itself. Like, we're going to get a Loom Boss, probably not going to have whatever ability it has in the actual game itself. I don't know if character units can sync up with normal units or not, but that would be freaking awesome. Think about that. That idea just popped in my head. Think about that. Think if you could run a Loom Boss with a unit of Grots. Your Loom Boss could actually fight. He could actually be in front of the Grots fighting, and then the Grots could fight, you know, because like how the game is now, you keep them behind, they do no damage, and they're just there as a buff. That's it. They have the potential to do a lot of damage, but they're just a buff. But if they could run with units, that'd be so cool. We're gonna get a Loom Boss, 40 Grots, Squig Hoppers. I know they're Squig Hoppers because they have the blades and not the spears. And then 3 Trogs. That's what the picture, when I was looking up the information for Spearhead, it showed all the Spearhead boxes that will exist. And this is what it showed ours was going to look like. Now, it could have just been, you know, misleading and our Spearhead's going to look different. But this is what I saw it was going to be. So, Loom Boss, 10 Squig Hoppers, 40 Grots, 3 Trogs. Probably going to be another Grey Knight situation where it's like you can either choose the Squig Hoppers or the Trogs. Who knows? But hopefully it gives you both, because you know our army already doesn't have much damage to begin with. Grots can hold objectives, yes, and you know they're hard to kill. But if you have to choose between Squig Hoppers or Trogs, that means that you're going to have to choose between which one of the 2 damage dealers you want to have. Which I think most people would choose Trogs. Which I don't even know how Trogs are going to function in 4th edition. Trogs are probably going to have... They're probably going to have their reward. It's probably going to be like a 4-up save and a 5-up reward. And they're probably going to be just as inaccurate. In fact, I imagine they're probably not going to change at all, really. Maybe they'll do less AP. So they're probably going to have like 1 AP, about the same damage, who knows. The Squig Hoppers probably going to do no AP damage. I mean, they're probably going to have no AP, but do the same amount of attacks. Probably. Their accuracy is going to be less. Anyway, so that's my guesstimation. That's what I think is going to happen with Gloomspite Gitz in 4th edition. Again, this is all guessing. I don't really know. But based off of what I've heard, I imagine this is probably what's gonna happen with the army. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that I'm completely off the ball or insane? Who knows? You know, I've been playing Gloomspite long enough. I probably have gone insane. But y'all have a great evening, and peace.